All right, friends, good morning. This is lesson 24, excuse me, of our math notes for Module 2. I wanted to bring your attention to our schedule for today before we get started on our math notes. I put on your schedule that we do have a Module 2 math test coming up on the 16th, which is next Wednesday. I told my students in class that on the Tuesday before that, so the 15th, students are going to get a study guide. So you will be given a study guide to go through and work on Tuesday before the test to help you prepare. And then, sorry, I have a tickle in my throat. All right, sorry, I gotta take a drink of water. And then after the study guide on Tuesday, you will take the test on Wednesday. Wednesday, I will grade all the tests. And if you want to make test corrections to get a higher score, on Friday, on Thursday, you can do that. So Tuesday study guide, Wednesday test, Thursday test corrections if you want to do that. So please don't panic, but you will have lots of resources and time to help you on that math test. And also, you will have the ability to use these math notes that you've been taking during the math test. So I just wanted to bring your attention to that little bit of information right there. Going over here to my math notes. Again, if you need to pause the video to write any of this down, go ahead and do that. We're going to start off with our application problem for lesson 24, and I'm going to change the name of my student. Yesterday I think I picked on Isaiah, so today I'm going to pick on Olivia. So I'm going to put Olivia's name right here. V-I-A. All right. Our math warm-up today is the area of Olivia's, I forgot to make that possessive, Olivia's bedroom is 224 feet squared. The width of her bedroom is 14 feet. What is the width of her bedroom? All right, so this is kind of a similar problem to the goat pen problem that we had yesterday. We're going to circle our numbers. We have 224 feet squared. We have 14 feet wide, and we need to know what the, not the width, what the length, gosh, this is all marked up, what the length of her bedroom is. So I'm going to start off by drawing a little diagram to help me visualize what it is I'm doing. So if I have my diagram, here's Olivia's bedroom. Okay, I'm going to draw it. The overall area is 224 feet, okay, squared. And we know that the width, how wide it is 14 feet. So here to here is 14 feet. And we need to know what the length of it is. Okay, that's what we need to figure out. Now, yesterday we went over what the formula for area is. We said that area equals length times width. Okay, and we also know that we can plug in the information that we have in our problem to figure out what we need to do to solve it, to find that missing information. Well, I have my area, so I'm going to put down 224 for area. Okay, I have my area. I do not have my length, so I'm just going to put an L there, but I do have my width, which is 14, so times 14. So I need to figure out what times 14 is going to give me 224. Well, we know that the opposite of multiplication is division. So to find out what that missing length is, I need to divide 224 by 14. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my house. I'm going to kind of run out of room here. I'm kind of a little sloppy. I'm going to draw my house, and my larger number is going to go inside my house, 224. Okay. And my smaller number, my divisor, is going to go outside my house because I want to know what times 14 is going to get me 224. So can 14 go into 2? No, it cannot. So I'm going to put an X right there. Can 14 go into 22? Yes, it can, but it only can go in there one time because 2 groups of 14 is 28, and that's too large. So now I'm going to subtract 14 times 1 from 22. So 14 times 1 is 14. This 2 is going to be a 12. This 2 is going to be a 1. 12 minus 4 is going to give me 8. 1 minus 1 is 0. Now I need to bring down that extra 4. Okay. Now I have 14 can go into 84 how many times? I don't know how many times it can go in there. I'm going to go over here and just try it out. I'm going to do 14 times 6 and just see what that gets me. Okay. Well, 6 times 4 is 24, so 4, carry the 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So that is my 84 that I was looking for. I was right on there. So I'm going to put my 6 right here. 6 times 14 is 84. Subtract it, I'm going to get 0. Okay? So that tells me that the length of Olivia's bedroom is 16 feet. So I can say the length is 16 feet. And circle that right there. Boom. All right. That is the warm-up application problem that we had this morning. Again, more reverse area problems, if you want to think of it that way. All right, I am now going to scroll down to our concept development. And today we are focusing on dividing with decimals. This is something new that you haven't worked on yet, so we're going to work on this together. So if you need to pause the video to write this down, feel free. But we are dividing a number with a decimal in it by a whole number. So in this case, we don't necessarily have our larger number as our dividend. In this case, our larger number is our divisor. So when we're setting up our problem, it's important to realize that the dividend always goes inside of the house, and the divisor, always goes outside of the house. So I'm going to start, I gotta click my pen here. I'm going to start by drawing my house. I know my dividend goes inside my house, so I have 5.4, and I have 90 right here. Okay. So how do I divide with a decimal? Fairly simple. It's not that much more in depth than what we've been doing so far. When we're dividing with decimals, I remember, or when we were adding and subtracting with decimals, I remember I told you guys you poop it down, okay? But when we're dividing, instead of pooping it down, we're throwing it up. Like you're throwing it up. So our decimals inside the house, we're just going to throw it up so it's outside of the house, on top of it. And then we're going to forget all about it. We threw it up, it's no longer in the house, it's on top of the house, and we're going to forget that it's even there. Okay? So now we're going to go through into our division problem. Can 90 go into 5? No, it can't, so I'm going to do a 0. Can 90 go into 54? No, it can't. I'm going to do a 0. Well, now I have nothing left to divide 90 into. When we're dividing with decimals, what we can do is we can add a 0, because I know that 5.4 is the same as 5.40. This is the same value, so I can add a 0 right here and it doesn't change anything. So now I need to ask myself, how many times does 90 go into 540? Well, I'm going to guess 5 times. So I'm going to come over here. Actually, I'm going to guess 6 times. I'm going to do 90 times 6. Okay. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 9 is 54. Well, that's perfect. 90 can go into 540 6 times. So I'm going to put my 6 on top of this 0 that we just drew inside my house. 6 times 90 is 540. I'm going to subtract these two. I'm going to get zeros. So my final quotient now is just 6 hundredths. This is where my final answer is. I have 0.06. And I just threw that decimal up. I added an extra 0 where I needed to, and then I just solved like I normally would. Okay? All right, that was the first problem. Again, it's not too scary, not too intimidating. If we want to go to the back page, if it loads for me here, there we go. If we want to go to our back page, we have 2 more division problems with decimals. So, looking at the first one, I have 2 4/10 divided by 40. Again, it's not always the larger number that goes inside the house. You have to ask yourself, what is the dividend and what is the divisor? So my divisor in this problem is 40. And my dividend is 2.4, or 2 4/10. Okay. Now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to throw that decimal up, and we're going to forget that it's even there. We're going to throw it up. Okay. So now how many times can 40 go into 2? Well, it can't. How many times can 40 go into 24? Well, it can't. I'm not done. I'm just going to add a 0 right here. Because if I added a 0 after the end of this 4, it doesn't change its value. How many times can 40 go into 240? Well, I know 4 can go into 24 6 times. I'm just adding 0. So I know it's going to be 6. So 6 times 40 is 240. Subtract those, and I'm going to get 0. All right. So again, that's my same answer that I had in the last one, was 600ths. So I'm going to do 0.06 and circle that. Okay. All right, down here, our last problem. I'm going to go ahead and pick a color. Let's do black right quick here. Again, my dividend is going to go inside my house, so I have 0.51, and my 3 is going to go outside my house. How many times can 3 go in? Oh, sorry. First of all, we got to throw that decimal up. How many times can 3 go into 0? It cannot. How many times can 3 go into 5? Well, it can go in there 1 time. So 1 times 3 is 3. I'm going to subtract that. I'm going to get 2. Bring down this 1. How many times can 3 go into 21? It can go in there 7 times. 3 times 7 is 21. I'm going to get 0 here, and I subtract that out. So that means my final quotient is 17 hundredths, or 0.17. Circle that right there. Okay. So when you have a decimal in the dividend, don't freak out a little bit. It's okay. We're just going to throw it up, add some zeros if we need to, and use the same steps that we've been using. So my debrief question that I want you guys to answer today is, how is dividing decimals similar and different than dividing whole numbers? What are the similarities and what are the differences in dividing whole numbers and decimals? So just think about that. One more thing I want to bring your guys' attention to, since we are done with our math notes, is if we look at our schedule for today, I did give you guys a long division practice sheet. I said pick any 4 to do on paper and pencil for practice. So if you click on this, we're going to be working on practice today for long division. A lot of our students are struggling with this. So I want you to pick any 4 problems that you see in here, grab paper and pencil, and solve them out. It's just practice. I don't need to see them, but I trust you guys that you are going to be working on this. And if you have questions or you need help checking your work, I am always available. All right, guys, that is it for our math notes this morning. Please reach out if you have any questions.